And welcome to a new RPG Tools tutorial. My name is Martin, and today I will talk about how to use the UI editor to create your own main menu or other menus. So for that I will use the demo project, which is part of the RPG Tools content package, which is currently in the Humble bundle, which ends this week, so you can still grab it. So at first, I will show you how UI states work. So for that, we switch to the data editor and go to user interface. Here you can define the initial state, and for the demo project, I created an intro state for that. And here you have a list of all the states we defined. So you can just define any states you want here. And this is the state the game starts with by default. But you can override that in the play mode. I can show you how at next. You can ignore these two. I just reworked the level loading and the cutscenes, so they are all part of the default HUD. But if you want, you can have dedicated UI states here. But it makes it easier to fade out the current level and then show the loading screen so everything is in the same UI state. Yeah, and here you can see all the states we have. And now we want to create a main menu, so we will create a dedicated UI state here. Let's call it main menu. And we need to link the interface file here, but we don't have one yet, so we will switch to UI editor. And by default, an empty screen is opened, so we can just use that, and let's save it directly as main menu. And I will switch back. So we have the link already. And here you can define if the game should still be displayed, which doesn't make sense for the main menu usually. And if game controls should be blocked. The game controls are automatically blocked if we don't show the game, so we don't need to define it, but it also doesn't hurt to do it. So let's just activate that. So that's everything we need to do here for now. And now we can switch to the UI editor. So let's add some actual content. So here you can see the hierarchy of widgets. We currently just have a group, which is an invisible widget. It's just used for, as the name implies, grouping widgets. So that's the parent widget, and now we want to create a panel, which is the background of the main menu. We can assign a texture or a background color. And yeah, the demo project contains a lot of nice textures, so let's just pick one here. Maybe this one. Yeah, let's place it here. And now you can see the position and size here. The size is automatically set to the texture size, which is full HD, which is what we want. And we wanted to set it to the position 0, 0. You can also drag it, but in this case, yeah, okay, it worked. I mean, it works, but it's in some cases it's easier to just enter the numbers here. So that's our background. And now we want to add some content to that. So we always need to select a parent, which should be used as a parent for the new widgets. So let's select the group again. And now we add the label. In this case, we don't want any image, and just place it here. and enter the text. Yeah, you can, as you wish, you can just enter the text main menu or the title of your game. Let's use a bigger font size, 30, 36, and a text color which you can see with this background. You can also choose different text style, maybe bold, and you can also have an outline. So let's use an outline thickness of 2 pixels and an outline color, maybe green. And important is to also set the alpha value, otherwise you won't see it. Okay, that doesn't look too good. Maybe that one. And since that should be centered, you can right click on it and then center X. So now, oh, that didn't work. Okay, yeah, sorry, you can click on center, on horizontal alignment center. That should center it. Yes, that works. So for label, there are alignment properties here. And now we will add buttons to create a new game, for example. Do we have images for that? No, I don't think so. Then we won't use any image for now. And enter the text here. New game. Text size, increase that a bit. So as you can see, the button will automatically resize when you have a bigger text. And with this button, you can use the center X function, so it's centered. And here we can expand the game widget category and then define what happens when you click on the button. So for that, we choose the type button, and the button widget or the button action has some. The button widget has some actions you can choose. In this case, we want to set the user interface state, and we want to set it to load game. So that's it for this button, hopefully. Now I can show you how to test it. We go to level editor to test everything. Let's just use an empty level. We can close that one. Okay, that has crashed. I will look into that afterwards. Sorry for that. But just to show you, when it crashes, you are asked if you want to create a dump file, which is very small, 400 kilobytes in this case. And if you send it to me, then I can look into it. Yeah, sorry for the crash, but we will restart it. And yeah, fortunately we saved everything. Let's check it again. Yes, everything is saved. And then we go to level editor, try to close the level again. Let's hope it's not a reproducible crash. No. Okay. So let's just use this level. And then you can go to Tools Play. And here you have some options. And the first option is the interface state you start with. And here we can choose our new state, which is called main menu. And that's everything you need to test. Then it directly launched a new state. You have a button with a hovered state automatically. When you click on new game, it opens the dialog to load a level. But in this case, that was the wrong state. So that's what should happen when you load the game. So we can duplicate this button. For that, you can use the shortcut Control D or via main menu edit duplicate. And then we move this one down and call it load game. So that's what we just saw. And new game should change the interface state to in-game. And then we will duplicate again. So I hit Control D and call it quit. Somewhere here. And we want to center it. Okay, it's already centered. And this should have a different action type. It's just called quit game without any parameters. I just implemented that recently and didn't test it yet, so hopefully that works. Yeah, and that's something you can only test in the exported game, so we won't test it today. But that should work, and if not, I will fix it. But let's try the new game option. So we have new game, load game. We click on new game, and it loads the level we currently have open in the level editor. And here you can see the textures are still loading in the background. That's the mode which is active by default in the level editor, so you don't have to wait for anything. Yeah, that's how it basically works. Now we can also add other UI states. So one of the next step would be an options menu. That's also something I want to add, so we can do that right now. For that, I can also show you something. When we open the hud.txt, it contains the complete HUD from the game, so all the screens, and it currently also contains the settings screen. You don't see that much because most of the screens are invisible by default, but you can make them visible here. But don't forget to set them to invisible again afterwards. That's how the options screen looks like currently, and it's displayed directly in front of the game. But we want to have the same logic there. And it uses a custom Lua script. So we can completely copy that if you want to. Let's do that. And create a new screen. Save it as options menu. Then we add a new panel. Choose a nice background for that. Nice backgrounds here. Yeah, maybe something like that. Okay, set position to 0, 0. And then use the main menu to go to edit paste or Control V. And now you have it here. And it should work automatically, But one thing we need to check here is the close button. So when you are in the main menu, you will have a new button, an options button. So let's hit Control D. Options, down, and make sure it's centered correctly. And here we set the interface to, oh yeah, we need to add a new state. So we go to data editor, go to user interface, and add another state called options. And select it here. And we also don't want to show the game and still block the game. So that's done. Now we go back to UI editor, and when we want to open the options, we don't want to set user interface state directly. We want to push it to a stack of states. So it's pushed on top, and then the options menu will be shown. And this is important because the options menu, when it's done, it can just pop the state, so it will be removed from the stack, and then the last state will be activated, which is in this case the main menu. But it might also be something else. So if you open the options menu from a different place, it will go back to this menu. So it's important to use this push and pop logic, so these commands. And we can do the same for loading the game. So we also want to push it and not set it directly. For a new game, I think we can reset it. So if you set the user interface, the stack is completely cleared and you start from 0. And in this case, we don't want that you can go back to the main menu when you click on back. Or it's up to the game. So yeah, we can also do it here. But in some cases it might not make sense, so then you can set it directly. So here we set to in-game. And now in the options menu, to go back to the main menu, we choose the type button and then choose pop user interface state. It doesn't have any parameters, so it will just go back to the last state. So then we can test that. We go back to level editor. You can just press F5 if you want to use your last settings, which we want in this case. So we'll start with the main menu again. Oh, I didn't save the UI editor. The main menu. So just for information, for all other features, you don't need to save to test them. So you can just test everything without saving. But for the UI, you need to save because I use a library which always loads everything from file. And maybe I will implement that in the future, that you also don't need to save that before for testing. But for now, you need to save it to see it in the game. So let's do it again. Yeah, now we have the options button. Yeah, that worked. Yeah, you can change the sound volume and music volume. These are the only options I implement so far. And when you click on close, you go back to this menu. When you click on load game, we need to check what happens here with the close button. Oh yeah, it works. Yeah, that's the load game already works automatically, even if we didn't change anything. That's because the close button already used the action to pop the user interface state. So what happens internally is when I click on load game, the load game state will be pushed on top. It's now active. So always the topmost state is always active. And when I click on close, it's popped. So the topmost state is removed. And then the state before is active again, which is the main menu in this case. So yeah, that works as expected. And that's it for this tutorial. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Bye.